I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, April the 2nd. Receipts are starting to dry up in your auction markets. If we could just get a little more of this mud to dry up. And I realize it's going to be a long time before things dry up in the worst parts of Nebraska, but in the other regions that had their share of moisture and are still trying to get back to normal. There's been several pretty nice days and the sun shines out. Of course, it's out longer every day, and it's starting to make a difference. And you're starting to see some outfits that were kind of out of the market there for a while, buying any feeder cattle, coming back into the market. We're still seeing some rampant demand for stocker type cattle to turn out on those big regions of grazing areas there that will be turning out here within a couple of weeks. As we get a little bit further and we see more green grass sprouting out in the pastures, then you're going to see some of your smaller producers, your weekend warriors, people like that, those that are turning out on more of a traditional type deal where they won't turn out till a little bit later and they'll leave them out there till fall. But things actually look pretty good around on the day for Monday, starting the day out. Your board was up sharply higher early in the morning, lost most of it, but still managed to see some gains out of it. April live cattle futures up 47 cents for the day to end at 126.17. June was up 47 cents at 119.47. April feeder cattle up 20 cents at 145.45. and May up just a dime at 148.87. The weighted average on last week's fat cattle trade, we were almost 70,000 there through Thursday, and I told you it wouldn't be a whole lot more, and we didn't see much more cleanup in the 5-area region. It ended at 75,700 head for the week, which is once again lighter than the same time a year ago. And they continue to get by with buying very few cattle, negotiated cash. But what little trade there is, it's got a lot of drama to it. But you remember last week we had that Wednesday fail in the southern plains, mostly in Kansas, 125 to 126. And then what live sales there were up north, it was 126 to 127. But the weighted average on live steers in your 5-area feeding region was 126.34. That was down $2.62 compared to the previous week. And like I said, it was more $3 than $2. But there was almost as many live steers that sold as all other categories put together. The heifers, addressed steers, addressed heifers, everything. But a lot of live steers at that price. Your dressed steer weighted average was 205.60. That was down just over $2 at $2.04. So a lot of that 205 to 206 right there. And if you couple that together, your dressed weighted average and your live steer weighted average, that's based on about a 61.5% dress. So you can see that the dressing percentage are not very good. It also goes into account that your southern plains is trading at a negative compared to the northern plains, so that's going to make that a little bit more dramatic. But dressing percentages are not great, and cattle are carrying a lot of tag on them. Nationwide negotiated trade, 85,800 head. That compares to the same week a year ago at 100,200 head. But in that, 19,800, or about 23%, was for the 15 to 30 day delivery. So that's about normal. Still a lot of forward contracting being done, more than we've seen in the recent past there. But you just look at some of those months, there's already more August forward contracts written than they had all of last year through August. So that's a way that they're getting some cattle. That's got something to do with the lighter numbers we're seeing with negotiated trade there. But let's look at your feeder cattle markets. Your real-time index on Cattle Market Central late on Monday at 139.31. That was up 26 cents, and the markets were generally a little bit stronger on Monday, but that's on your 7-day moving average. Your steer tracker, your last 25 bigger lots, just under 144 there. And the last 24 hours on your index steers, 144.78. So we're going to see that start to rebound a little bit. Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma National Stockyards, 8,000 head there. And the market was on fire in Oklahoma City. It was by far the best sale we saw around. Feeder steers steady to $5 higher, spots as much as $8 higher on those 750 to 800 pound steers. Feeder heifers steady to $3 higher. Steer calves 1 to 6 higher, and look at the heifer calves closing the gap a little bit, $6 to $9 higher. But really good market they had in Oklahoma City, and that's great. Joplin Regional Stockyards, 5,700 head there. All classes there fully steady, so that's a good market too. Russell, Iowa, Russell Livestock, 2,300 head, and like I said, the numbers are kind of drying up in places where they've kind of caught back up selling cattle. They haven't had a sale for 2 weeks, and your market was just kind of mixed. But I had some buyers tell me that when you get up in the northern plains where that winter was really tough, and they had the flood waters and everything that went with, some of those calves are coming in and they're just almost too thin, just poor. When I say poor, that means they hadn't had near enough to eat, they haven't had enough nutrition, and they were pulled down a little bit. And normally your buyers just love those kind of cattle and just go after them. But some of your more experienced buyers have bought some cattle that were too thin or too poor, and you just couldn't get enough nutrition in them to get them to really take off again. Their bellies were kind of shrunk down, and they just weren't eating, used to eating that good, and whenever they did get everything they wanted to eat, they couldn't take right off like just an animal, kind of a fairly thin-fleshed animal that still had enough nutrition to get by on. But that's going to be kind of a tough deal, because some of those cattle, you know, they deserve to get a premium because they are thin-fleshed. They should weigh a lot heavier. You know, we had weight loss on your feedlot cattle, which is taking tonnage away when they go to slaughter. But we've also had a lot of weight loss on your calves, and your cows were pulled down too. And I had several people say it's not just the death loss that they saw on the newborn calves and cattle in lots that couldn't get up and froze and went down, or cows that died standing in frozen waters. It's the sickness after it went through. That's really hard on their systems, and if they can't get everything that they need to eat and then the right nutrition, they can't fight off some of those viruses. And then if you can't get to them in time and they're sick, then you end up losing a lot of cattle, and there has been a lot of sickness and death loss due to sickness because of the conditions that they've had up in the northern plains. But look at some individual quotes, and one of them out of Russell, Iowa there, 53 head of 602 pound stocker steers, bringing 174 and a quarter, and didn't hurt them there at all. And Sylvan Livestock Sales Commission in Sylvan Grove, Kansas, the little market with the big prices, 64 head of steers weighed 736 at $154. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.